welcome back to Piff Explores. This week I'm talking about my favorite cave.
When you ain't got no money, you got me.
So Jess on Facebook asked, what's your favorite cave and why? So let's talk about it. My favorite cave is Sloan's Valley Cave System in Somerset, Kentucky. This is a massive cave system. There are 16 entrances. I think there are like over 20 miles of passage. And it happens to be my first ever real wild caving trip. So it has to hold a special place in my heart. As a new caver, going into Sloan's was just mind-boggling because, again, Sloan's is so huge that it has a little bit of everything you might want out of a cave. There are big borehole passages that you could run airplanes through, it feels like. And there are also tiny squeezes that if you want to do that on your trip, you can. And there's just such a variety in the types of passages and the types of things to see in this cave that it is great for beginning cavers. But it's not just for beginners. We used to do something when I was in college called Iron Sloans, where we would go in with somebody who knew the cave a lot better than we did, and we would try to go to more difficult places. And so this was always like a spring trip. We would advertise it like, hey, this is going to be a hard trip. We're going to be underground for 6 to 8 hours. So Iron Sloans and regular Sloans just became a huge part of my college life. The beginning of my cave career it was a whole thing. Sloan's is also just a beautiful cave system. You don't have that many miles of passage without having some truly breathtaking things. There are three. There are 3 lake rooms in Sloan's where you get to see an underground lake. When I started caving, I didn't even know that was a thing. There are fountains. Specifically, I remember one trip we went to an area called the Fountain of Youth, and it was one of the hardest caving trips I had done up until that point in my caving career. Granted, I was fresh out and fresh in, so I didn't really know a lot, but it was so challenging. And then we come over this thing, and there's this fountain, and there's 6 of us, and it was absolutely amazing. And it's one of my favorite memories from college because it was really hard. We worked for it, and we had a great reward. I have a ton of really good memories at Sloan's from camping on the property and waking up in the middle of the night. So the first time I ever tried to use a trekking pole tent, and it just went horribly wrong. So I think that is why Sloan's is my favorite cave that I've ever been to. And there are other caves that I really enjoy. It's actually kind of funny because Sloan's is a completely, mostly horizontal cave, which means you don't really need vertical gear, at least most of the time. But I personally prefer vertical caving. Vertical caving is my favorite part of caving. I love being on rope and rigging and knowing all of that technical stuff. So it's interesting that my favorite cave is still the horizontal cave that grabbed my heart, got me into caving, and made me never want to leave. So Jess, I hope I answered your question. If you have a question for me, put it in the comments below. DM me on Instagram, DM me on Twitter, whatever you want to do. And I will answer it in one of these videos. If you guys haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Send your questions. All at Piff Explores. Don't forget to check out the website, piffexplores.com. You can also send questions there. And we will see you next week. Bye, guys.